Hello and welcome to another tutorial video on Halo Wars. Today we're going to be showcasing a siege attack using Kodiaks and siege turrets using Professor Anders. And then we're going to switch up from the siege to an all-air attack to finish our opponent off. So go ahead and stay tuned. This video is a little bit longer than most of the videos that I do. So the voiceover might be in and out, cut out here and there because, frankly, some of it you're just going to have to watch for yourself, and some of it I'll have to explain, so just stay tuned. Alrighty, so it looks like to start off we're going to be going against an Isabel. So that's great. So now we're going to be making a harvester and a marine to start off. Boom, boom. And we're going to be looking for supplies. Make sure we're gathering our resources. With this attack, we want to make sure that we're getting stuff really, really quickly. One thing with Professor Anders you're going to know is her siege attack is probably the strongest out of the leaders, and this being because she has an extra sentinel advantage that the other leaders don't have. So you guys are going to witness that in this video. Also, another thing to look out for is the placement on my Kodiaks. So we're going to start off here just in the beginning game. Doing our typical 3 supply pad, 1 extractor. This game, I believe, yes, we go to the extractor. We go get our extractor third. Actually, I thought we were going to go second. Okay, so got our mini base, got everything lined up.
Ready to serve. Supply pad constructed. Understood. You ready, jarheads?
One thing I'd like to note on here is notice how I'm moving up the side of the map. If you look at the mini map on your right, you can notice kind of how my troops are moving up the side. I'm trying to take a slight map control off to the side. My opponent is probably doing the same on the other side. So just note there. Also, on this game, we are going to be really focusing on where our bases are going to be placed and where everything else is going to be placed.
Marines reporting for duty. Fuel up, Marines.
One thing I'd like to note here is the triple mini base is a very strong mini base to get, so it's definitely recommended that if you can grab it, grab that one as a priority. It gives you 2, whereas the other ones only give you 1, and it only costs $100 extra for the extra 1 side. So to me, that is just profitable in every end. So definitely make sure to grab those.
Mini base complete. Hijack researched. All
Get
units.
yourself in order, Marines.
Supply pad constructed. All
Marines.
units.
So right now we're making sure that we are putting priority on supplies. Most of the mini bases I have only have the supply pads on them, so that we are making sure we are constantly ramping up and trying to out resource our enemy.
Supply pad constructed.
In the beginning of this match, I'm using mainly infantry units. Sometimes I'm switching up
All units.
little things here and there. I might have a jackrabbit or 2. But mainly infantry to start. You don't have to jump right into Kodiaks and just wait until then, no. You should also have an army so that you are very strong in the beginning, so that you're not just lackluster and kind of waiting to build, because if somebody's trying to do an early rush, like some of the videos you have seen or that are also on my channel, they can really take advantage of that if you're just waiting for a really strong build. So definitely read your opponent on certain things, but
All units.
my advice is to always try to have either an infantry army or some type of army to protect yourself during your build.
All units. Generator upgrade complete.
Yeah, so one thing I'd like to notice I am still only building the units that you can get out of your base and mini base. I have not yet built any units that come out of either a barracks or a... Because to me, the units that come straight out of the base are strong enough to hold you in for the first part of the game. And then as you're progressing, then you can start building your stuff out of your garage and your air pad and things like that. I also like to prioritize my Spartan, because if they are just prioritizing the things out of their base, the Spartan is strong enough to be able to take on any of those things. So it's also good to have a Spartan to just beef up your army.
All units. All units.
Resources ripe for the picking. Jackrabbit raring to go.
So another thing I'd like to point out here is we have taken all control of the mini bases in the middle. So now he does not have a mini base, and we kind of have an idea of where his troops are going to be, because the mini bases give you line of sight. So if he comes within the sight of those mini bases, you can kind of guess what he's doing. And we also gather our second base here. So now we're really looking to build strong. It looks like we have most of the power nodes on the map too, so that is a good thing to make sure that we are continuously gaining our power even if we don't have that many power extractors.
Supply pad constructed. All units. Command center upgrade complete.
Here is now where I'm starting to build my garage to think about getting different Kodiaks and things of that nature out.
Constructed. Grenade throw researched.
Can anyone get this flying pest off of me?
Generator constructed. Firebase constructed. All units.
Let's get it done. Sir, my troops are ready to go.
All units. All units.
Now we have 5 mini bases, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 power nodes. So we have all the power nodes, all the mini bases on the map. This is where map control is coming in huge. Now we're just kind of pushing, seeing what he's building on the second base. Doesn't seem like much, just kind of some extra economy. He doesn't even notice that I'm over here until I do that, and then his people just react to the sentinels. So now I'm really taking over his lack of awareness, and I'm taking advantage of him not being able to fight my army in the back. So now we're going to take this base out.
We've reduced an enemy structure to rubble.
Now once we've taken this base out, I'm going to go and investigate his mini base and see what we've got going on there. Making sure that even though we are still building, and we're still doing a kind of, I would say, slower build than compared to the other videos I've done on this channel, this is going to be still a time to where you need to push and you need to inconvenience them some way. If you guys are just going for a mana off, I mean, it's how fast did I click my mouse on the first, you know. So now this is where you're kind of
Generator constructed.
changing the game's pace into your favor.
Supply pad constructed. We've destroyed an enemy structure. All units.
Don't panic. I'm here.
Jackrabbit here.
Alright, now we're on his main base and we're trying to do a little bit of damage.
Let's go.
This is where his army has been sitting. So he's got a decent little army here, so a bunch of anti-infantry, so that's going to hurt me pretty good. And I noticed that really it's not building much other than vehicles and infantry. So that's when I really decide, yep, we're sieging. It's just that it was like at that moment. This is the moment when I kind of was like, you know what? I think we're gonna siege, and I kind of turtled for a little bit. This is it's probably a short. I would consider this a pretty short turtle, but I did turtle him a little bit. So we're gonna see how we set up here. We're gonna try to get our first siege turret out. They're so expensive. So, oh wait a minute. Oh wait a minute. I might not caught it. That is actually going to be my second siege turret. So we have 2 of them coming out, and it looks like we're going to be having a Kodak coming out too. So we're really going to start up the siege here.
Kodiak systems all checked and ready.
Lock leader power ready.
Over. Spartan 042 under fire from enemy vehicles.
Turret constructed. Fortify level 1 researched.
What are my orders, sir? Locating
Rocket launcher researched.
One thing I'd like to note with these Kodaks, look how I am placing them. I'm trying to make sure that they are spread out to where they have multiple or a bigger range of areas that they can hit to where they're not just in one little bunched up area. This also helps that if they are going to try to attack your Kodaks and get them out the game, they go for one, the other one's on a different area. So Kodaks have a nice long range to where you can really just do this. So yeah, so we're just kind of spreading them out, making sure that they can hit multiple different areas and keep my whole, basically I'm going to try to keep the whole side of my map
Leader point earned.
in line of sight with those Kodaks and siege turrets, just to where if they come in at all, I'm able to hit them, I'm able to see them, and it just makes it a lot easier and honestly very chatterful. So
Supply pad upgrade complete.
another thing to note, when you're using Kodaks and siege turrets, they do not hit air. So a big recommendation is to have either anti-air as your second lineup as defense, that being usually a mix-up of Marines and Wolverines. The Wolverines do really good against anti-air, but say a vehicle comes in that got past the siege turrets, they don't do so well, whereas the Marines do a lot better. They have rocket launchers, as you see I'm upgrading now, and they also have the grenades that you can throw at stuff that makes it just a lot more damage worthy. So definitely something to note there. Don't only do siege, because if they flip to air, you have no answer to that.
Turret constructed. Combat mechanics researched.
So even here, I mean, he's not attacking, so I'm kind of just waiting around. So I have my protection, so we're just waiting for me to add on my Sentinel beacon and my Sentinel synergy. So here we go. I'm going to add on the synergy and the beacon. So now every time a siege turret hits, you're going to see there's going to be an extra 2 Sentinels that pop up on top of them, just making extra damage. So it's just absolutely beautiful.
Turret constructed.
If you're wondering why I do voiceovers in these videos, it's because typically when I'm gaming, I'm very focused and concentrated, and I don't talk as much as I need to. And I'm so much working on that, but I figured in the time being, a way to get content out, this is a good way that I can illustrate what I'm doing in the game, as well as being able to stay focused and actually play the game the way I need to. Usually when I start talking, I start doing a bunch of nonsense, and then for some reason I just
Our base is under
don't do
attack.
as well when I'm talking it out, which, you know, it shouldn't be the case. But we are here, Looks like I'm just making sure that I'm adjusting everything. I see that he's still running pretty much all ground units, and here's where the fun starts. Yep, they're just about to get hit left and right, up and down.
You have a target for me, sir?
The enemy has destroyed one of our buildings.
Acquiring target.
Now notice that I have an air pad that I am upgrading. That is for later when I'm doing the sentinels. I'm already making sure that they're upgraded, because when you upgrade air, the sentinels also gain the health advantage and the damage advantage that it gives you for upgrading air. So I make sure that those are also upgraded just along the way, so that I'm not wanting to switch to air and having to wait to upgrade. Now, Harry, you can see that we have both of the siege turrets are hitting there. I think I'm trying to get a Kodak to where he's closer and can hit him a little bit more.
The enemy has captured our
Really here, the name of the game is finding where your line of sights are and making sure a Kodak can hit it. Because like right there, it was a
reinforcements level 2 research.
PowerPoint, and those also have line of sight. So if I would have had a few more Kodaks and maybe a siege turret lined up a tiny bit better, we'd have hit it there.
Kodiak
We'd have hit all of them many times.
Give me a
So
target and I'll make them disappear.
this is what I'm going to line up on this ridge. It's awesome to make your Kodiaks go on the ridges, because if you put them on the ridges, the opponent can't see them as easy, and then they're able to have a farther line of sight. So you can sit there and hit people very, very far away if you put them on ridges like that. So boom. Now all I have to do is have him show there, and now we're just having a siege party. Boom, 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 and that Dace is going down, just having fun. So, yeah, this is why I think Anders is just probably the best for having siege. Just because simply you have an extra 2 turrets that pop up on with everything else. So it's like the other ones don't do that. I mean, siege in general is just super, I wouldn't say overpowered, but super powerful. You can beat it, because if he flipped to air right now, honestly, I'd be pretty screwed, because I know I have is a few Marines and some Kodaks. So this would be where I need to really focus and hone in on getting some Wolverines, especially since I'm at 90 pop and we're trying to maximize our population. We're not trying to be wasteful on stuff. So now, yeah, I'm just pulling those Marines over there just to show the ways, and then now the Kodaks and Sieges can just have a whole fun party time. Boom, boom. I don't know. For me, this is just so satisfying. I'm basically just turtling him. Now I'm going to grab this power node. That way I have line of sight if he decides to come over and take that power node again, then they're just going to hit him. So we're going to get the other one too. So now we have line of sight on both power nodes. If he's going to try to take either of those, it's just going to be absolutely cheddar-full. It's one of those, like, please do. I haven't noticed any area. I think that's the reason that I haven't made Wolverines, is because I haven't noticed air. But it's not always great to be reactive, because if he pulls it out and you don't see it, then it's kind of sitting like a sitting duck.
Level 2 researched.
And if it's a good player, they're going to switch a lot quicker.
Calculating trajectories. Kodiak in play. Target.
We have a supply pad constructed.
Cool, and now this is where we just kind of sit pretty. We just kind of move our Kodaks along to where we push up the line a little bit, and we just have fun. This is the part where I pretty much am turtling him. It's not like a full turtle to where I do not go attack him. I do attack him here and there, but I'm pretty much just like, all right. I mean, I got 4,000 and 5,000. Not doing much. I'm just kind of seeing what he's got going on. I'm gonna grab a base here. And then I probably am going to put this Kodak lined up to where he can see the base, hopefully on a ledge. Hopefully I'm not a silly goose. But all those Kodaks and siege turrets can see that base too. So every base pretty much now has like 3 of them that can see from it. Oh, so now you're here. Boom, 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 boom. Before they even get in the garrison, they're almost knocked out. And it just takes probably like 2 more siege turrets to do that. Now we're going to put myself to where I have line of sight of his base. Now they're going to hit his base.
Air level 3 researched.
This is where I'm saying that I kind of attack, but I kind of don't. I mean, I'm just letting my Kodiaks hit it, and I'm letting my Marines kind of sit there and show off where the base is. One thing I would probably do different right now is probably put one of those Marines in the garrison. That way they're a little bit stronger, but it works out in our favor.
We've reduced an enemy structure to rubble.
And then this is just going to add insult to injury right here. We're just going to... Oh!
All units.
I love it when you drop the sentinels like that because it's just absolutely devastating, cheddarful. It's beautiful. Yep, and now we're going to do another sentinel. It's just a sentinel party. We're having a sentinel party over here on your base. Hope you enjoy that, kind sire. So now if you see here, he is kind of putting a little bit of air out, not a lot. Nothing really to worry about. But this is, now you see that I switch over to having some Wolverines to make sure that that air is not going to be a problem. That is such a cringe ledge that I put that on. Like, cause it can see so much. That's so crazy. You're gonna see when if I pan over to that Kodak, you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. Still just beating up his base. We're just kind of idle over here while those are going. Yeah! That was a good. Oh, these ledges I'm putting these on are just so cringe. Pretty sure I put a Kodak on that ledge too, so you can just cringe for you over here. So we're at like 117 pop. Probably have a total of like 6 Marines, 6 Wolverines, you know, just in case they go a little bit of air, but doesn't seem to be the case here.
All units.
Poor Isabel's just getting lowly. Yep, and then this is where I see she has some air. Anti-air is there. And look at the Kodiaks; they cannot hit air. You know, see what I was saying before? Just to, I mean, I'm not trying to lie to y'all, but just to prove my point. Now, this is kind of a point where he pulled those in and distracted me, and then you know, they're doing a little bit of damage to my Kodiaks. I don't really like that, but not enough for me to worry too much. Another thing important to note here is my Marines are fully upgraded to combat mechanics, which the combat mechanic Marines can heal vehicles. They can heal vehicles and they can heal buildings. And I believe they can heal air, but they can't heal other infantry units or Spartans, and they can't heal. I think that's it. So, just a quick note. So if you have those upgraded, then certain situations like that to where my Kodak got hurt, I can go back and heal him up, and then it's like it never happened.
You have a target for me, sir? Keep it locked down, sir.
And I guess since we're here, another point to make is
All systems checked.
looking at the veterancy of your Kodaks. If your Kodak is a higher veterancy, right now we have a level 1 here. Make sure that those are prioritized. Don't like have those farther back to where, even though they're going to be, make sure they're hitting, but they're protected more, if that makes sense. All right, so now they're going pretty crazy air. This seems like the point where I would kind of just make sure that my anti-air was solid. It wasn't a weak anti-air system.
We've reduced an
And
enemy
making sure that
structure to rubble.
the turrets that are not siege, make sure they are anti-air too, because that will help you out with an air attack as well, because anti-air turrets do a lot of damage to air units. I'd say that out of the antis, they probably do the best, because like anti-infantry, they do okay, but they're not that strong.
Adjusting elevation. We've demolished an enemy structure. Triangulating targets.
If you all unit your Kodaks while they are locked, they will not move. So I'm starting to get them ready to where I can really hit this base and have them lined up, because I know that within a couple minutes I'm probably going to switch up on things. Yep, and I really want to make sure that I finish off this base, so that's why I'm kind of bunching my Kodiaks up and lining them up, because they're hitting as hard as they can. So right now we have just a sentinel party going over his base, and that's just going to affect him the whole way. Even if he has air, all those sentinels are still hitting his air units. It's just the initial hit with the Kodak, they will not recognize an air unit. So that's why I really want to just make sure that this base goes down before we do anything. Even if it's doing silly inconveniences like this. One note that he could do is kind of how he has his base off to the side. What he could do is kind of start pushing up the other side, since I pulled my Kodaks back, and it would probably hit me pretty hard. So just if someone was doing this to you, a counter to that would be that, to just start going around the other side. But since I have this base, I'm going to have this, so now I'm going to have the whole my side of the map just got larger. So now I just made more, and I've territorialized him down to 2 bases. So. Yep. Now I'm trying to try to line most of my Kodaks up in the middle and get them to where they're really going to start terrorizing that second base, to where even if this all air attacks and I have to really prepare for it, we're going to be hitting them the whole time either way. We're still going to be inconveniencing them. We're still going to be making sure that they're not building up some crazy army behind our back and we're not witnessing. Now we got our Kodaks lined up to where they can see that base, mainly because we had the line of sight. The moment we had the line of sight, it was just a free party, and they're all, I wouldn't say all of them, but I'd say, I think we only left 3 and we have 10, so most of them are over there. So I think 7 or 8 of them are over there just having another sentinel party on his other. Oh, actually his base is gone. So now we're down to 1 base. This is kind of where I go back to the turtle mindset. I wanted to make sure that his all air wasn't going to completely inconvenience me. His money is so low to where even if I can sit there and make more anti-air than what he can send at me, if that makes sense. Just because of how many bases, how my economy's set up. I have 11,000 extra dollars to where if I really need to spam it out, I can. I have also power, leader powers, to where they can make me have sentinels at my base. So if I had sentinels at my base, with all the anti-air turrets, I'm going to be able to come back and not have a problem. So
All units.
that's the reason I didn't full turtle, is because
Turret upgraded.
I wanted to kind of really show the siege, and once I noticed he was going all air, I didn't want to ruin the game by not flipping to anti-air or some type of quicker unit in time. But at least I'm able to show off how the siege works and how good it can be, especially if they are going mainly vehicles and infantry, and then also showing a way to switch it from that. So now we see that they kind of dropped the air for some reason. This is kind of questionable, so I would until I see that they're going to go back and do air, we're staying here. We're going to be staying for a while now.
I have a confirmed kill on my target.
But one thing with having all of my Kodaks in the middle kind of spread out like that in the middle is they can kind of have a line of sight around the map to where right now they're hitting a little bit. And then now I'm sending all these units just to kind of make sure that everything can see them. I want to make sure that they're constantly getting pressure put on them. Right now, actually, now they're getting hit by Kodaks again. Kodaks are siege, so we're just doing full siege because they're being silly. And now I'm doing the double double barracks. The reason I'm doing this is because I'm going to make Cyclopses to make sure that these vehicles don't come any closer, because Cyclopses are anti-vehicle. So if you make a lot of those, they hit vehicles down very hard. So with the siege and with the anti-vehicle, it's just going to be so utterly crazy. He's just so tired of it at this point. He wanted to make sure that at the cost of his tank, that siege turret was going down. He did not care. But yeah, as you guys can see, he lost his tank. Nope, and now I'm gonna go start moving my Kodiaks again, because until he moves back to air, we're chilling, and we have it to where we can move to air whenever we want to. He only has 2 bases. I have 4. If I really need to, I can put action on him, you know.
All systems checked and calibrated. Taking her out of lockdown, sir. What's my target, sir?
So notice how I'm moving my Kodiaks. We're pushing up the line. We're pushing up the line. We're not going back towards our base. We're going to go towards them. We're going to make sure we're drawing that battle line farther in our favor.
Turret constructed.
But also, we're keeping them to where they're still protecting our bases while pushing the line. So making sure you kind of strategize that to where a few can see each base, maybe 2 of them can see each base, and then you have maybe 3. Right now I have 4 of them that are kind of pushing the line a little bit. So we have those 2 seeing the base, and then now we're going to kind of push up. Yep.
Locking down.
Cyclops, good to go.
And now I'm just making units in one while upgrading them in the other. I didn't start off with a barracks, so now I'm kind of scrambling a little bit, but it's not hard when you have 2 of them, because one can make units and while the other one's upgrading. So it's kind of like, okay. And most of the time, I would say 2 or 3 Cyclopses can take out a tank pretty easily, and have maybe 1 and a half. Like one of them would probably die, and the other one would be about half health, and then you probably make it out that way. So with having 4 or 5 of them, that should be able to tank maybe 3 to 4 tanks out. So now he's trying to siege me too. He's trying to get me back. He's like, oh, you want to do Kodiaks? I'll do Kodiaks. But what he doesn't know is my Kodiaks are stronger, and now I'm over here and they're hitting him. He can't see my Kodiaks because they are off into the Netherlands for him, in his sight. And now we get to have another siege sentinel party. Look at how many there are. There's so many. It's like at this point you've got to be irritated. He has a condor, so that part kind of throws me off a little bit. I'm going to definitely be making sure to get anti-air, and this is where now we're setting up for sentinels. Yep, we're going to do the switch from Kodiaks to sentinels right now. Because we saw that condor. We have no answer to that right now, actually, as a sadness. But a good note is that it's okay, because we have 4 races he'd have to go through, and I definitely would have time to hit them. So as you can see here, I'm spamming the R because that'll help get them off of their lock. If you just hit it once, they're not going to come off of it, because when they're locked, you can all units, and all the other units but the Kodiaks that are locked will move, but the Kodiaks that are locked will stay in place. So now we're just in here kind of continuously building our Sentinel army. Once we get them up, they have shields on them because of the Sentinel synergy. They also are upgraded because we have been continuously upgrading our air pad. So pretty much we're just going to go sacrifice these Kodiaks. They've done their job. They've done an amazing job. And we're going to switch the game plan totally on them. And really, when you've seen that they've been sieging the whole time, you see that they've only gone vehicles. They have not had one single air unit. And then they pop with a whole flooded army of fully upgraded Sentinels. Come on now. Like, who's going to plan for that? Who's gonna just be like, yeah, I knew that was coming? Come on now. Come on now.
Our base is under attack.
And then here in a little bit, we're going to showcase Anders' second strongest
Leader power ready.
unit, the Sentinels. I'd say that her first strongest is the Kodiaks, but her second strongest has to be the Sentinels, and they're kind of comparable because the Sentinels do one heavy base damage. They do such great base damage. They're quick. They're the fastest unit, I think, in the game. It's between them and Banshees, but they're faster than Hornets. They're faster than Nightingales. And I think if Banshees are faster, I think they're either as fast as Banshees or they might be a little bit quicker. When you're doing it with the rest of the units, it kind of does it not justice because they're following units. But
We got troops down. I'm under fire from an enemy gunship.
now, here's where you get to see the beautiful Sentinels in action. I only have 102 population, but that's because I really just wanted to get in there. I just wanted to end it while we could end it. And now, where did this come from? Pops all of his drops. Oh, dude. I love the Sentinel. They're just cheddar, just a big old laser beam army of just death, too. So there goes Condor. Condor's going down. Now, all these tanks are silly geese. They can't really, they hit air a little bit, but not in the capacity he needs. That I could have moved him out of the way, but. So now, with all that, with his entire army gone, he only got me down to a 72 pop, so I can get those pretty quickly up. This is where having a lot of bases comes in handy because the more bases you have, the more places you can make Sentinels. So they're just going to fly on over there because they're crazy like that. And for some reason they're doing that, mainly because they're trying to follow the Wolverine. So now we're going to hit his mini base. This is kind of where I'm like, okay, the game's gone on long enough. I'm tired of it. Let's finish it. Did you have fun? I had fun. All right. Oh, poor Sebastian's going down. All right, now we're going to his main base. This is where he pees himself. That's pretty much all there is. What else can you do? So he did kind of do a little bit of a counter here with some anti-air. That's good. I don't know why I'm not focusing. There we go. Now we're playing smart and focusing the anti-air. So that's one thing. If you're running a lot of air, hit those anti-air out first so they're not doing so much damage to your army. The rest of the units can kind of wait while they're doing lackluster damage. But now I have all my drops still, so it's just about to be and now we have the receiver set. This is a dime. Big old bug-looking sentinel that just does unimaginable base damage. Like this, it honestly does similar base damage of that of a scarab. The scarab does do more, but it's competing. It wants to compete, especially when you do the Y ability or its special ability. It's a great. One thing I will note is do not use your Y ability with the Retriever Sentinel if you have an opponent that has a lot of anti-air. It sits in the air for a long time with an animation that makes it to where it'll just get beamed out of the sky. So his retaliation wasn't actually too bad here. He kind of held me at checkmate for a second there. I only have 4 or 5 Sentinels. If you look on the mini-map, you'll see a bunch of little tiny dots coming to my area. That's going to be my Sentinels coming to join the party. I'm going to be trying to get to my main bases here, get as many of those to continue coming out to where I'm not just going in, dying, he builds his army, I build my army, he builds his army, I build my army. I just lost my Retriever Sentinel. So he is hitting me hard. This is where I don't have enough anything to really, if I keep bringing him in single file line, he's just going to beat him up that way. So now we're going to try to bring our army together. This is a point where I'm like, whew, I'm glad I switched things up because it's getting dicey. But he's down to 1 base, so his economy is very, 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 very hurt. I can make my army come back a lot quicker than he. So I'm already at a 76 whenever it wants to pop up, you know. He's probably sitting there like, 1, come on, 2, oh my goodness, please, leave me alone.
Mini base complete.
constructed.
All right, now we have our other base going. We're just trying to build our army together, make sure everything is going as planned, and really just sealing up the win here. I could go back to a turtle. I could end the game here. I kind of want to see how he has everything set up. Like, is he gonna go full anti-air on me? Is he gonna go? What is he gonna do? What is his next plan? Because if he's gonna go full anti-air, I have my barracks set up to where I can pull out as many of the Cyclopses to destroy those as possible, and those do great base damage. Which, looking at it now, it looks like he's going primarily infantry and vehicles. So with my Condor out now, with all the other things, I think it's time to go get his other mini base again. So he took out my base. He did. Took it. One of my 5 bases he took. Slowed down to 4 bases. And we're taking out his armory. So, nope, now he can't get his leader back out. Alice is no longer allowed to come out. No more Atlas for you. I'm sorry. Oh, and now he has a tank. But little does he know, Sentinels do a lot of damage to tanks, especially when you have the number I have. Oh, and we have all the drops again. Oh, and we can heal our people. Oh, this is where it gets really good, because now we're going to wipe his army one more time. And it was a cat and mouse game for a second there, but this is where the cat's catching up to the mouse, if that makes sense. Especially now, because now I'm just going to make sure that his supplies really just dumbs down to where anybody he loses just hurts him dramatically. He could destroy everybody here, and I would not care. I would not care. You wanna know why? Because his whole base is dead. Like, he has to spend money to build all of his base back up. He has to spend money to even think about getting an army over here. Not to mention, if he does bring his army over there, my siege turrets ain't gone nowhere just because I ain't got Kodiaks. My siege turrets are still there. So it's like, okay, what are you going to do now? So this is where it just depends on your playstyle. If you want to toy with them, this is where you could just sit there and toy with them. If you want to end the game, you can end the game. Yeah, I think, I'm going pretty much a lot of Cyclopses just to make sure that all the vehicles are not going to be an issue. We're not going to have an issue with these vehicles. That's pretty much the game plan with that. And I might honestly just go for a full Cyclops army just to be a psychopath because, why not? Oh, Hellbringer. So we're doing a Hellbringer Cyclops army. So now, here it goes again. We're throwing it back into his face. We're throwing it back into his face, and now we're going to end the game with infantry. His brain's going to blow up. He's not going to know what to think because he's going to be like, when did he have infantry? Oh, it was in that back mini base that you never saw because none of my other bases had an infantry or a barracks on it. So he would have never known that I had infantry unless he would have gone to that back mini base.
Hellbringers, where do you want this?
Supply pad upgrade complete. All units. Leader power ready. Supply pad upgrade complete.
Well, now we have a whole 120 population army. They're not all out yet, but we've already spent it, and we still have 5,000 more supplies and 39,000, almost 40,000 power.
All units. All units.
Heads up.
Command center upgrade complete.
Now it's time to just go in and have a blast because we have all anti what he's doing basically. He has the infantry, anti-infantry. He has vehicles, anti-vehicles. So this is where you just get to have a ASMR Halo Wars experience of big booms.
All units. All units. All units. All units. All units. All units.
Yep, and this is where I'm pretty much just tapping him out. I'm just like, okay, this game's gone on long enough. We're at 44 minutes. We've done a lot of back and forth, and we had fun. I had fun. Did you have fun? Because I had fun. But yeah, he might have made a condor. It's not that great of a deal. I'm pulling his whole base down, so his condor does not worry me. That's a lot of money wasted. And then, you know, just to end it, I think we'll do some anti-air, some marines, oh, some sentinels. Why not? Throw some cyclopses in there. I don't have enough people to make hellbringers. Dang it. Let's blow up that tank so he loses that, and then we'll do a couple more sucks some hellbringers. Right. So this is basically where I just have a huge mix of army that does everything. A few take out air, a few take out vehicles, a few take out infantry, a few are really good at hitting the base, a few are really good at just being infantry, and then a few just fly around really fast. It's just like, you take your pick of what you want. One thing that I'll note on here is when you do have an army that's consistent like this, where you see multiple different units, make sure that if they have a purpose, like say the grenade throw, they have something they can do, try to isolate them. For me as a mouse and keyboard player, I just use my scroll wheel and I pick between my units and which ones I want to use. So I can scroll down, use my Spartan. If I scroll again, use my infantry, scroll again, sentinels, scroll again, hellbringers, scroll again, cyclopses, scroll again, wolverines. So that's how it would go for me as a mouse and keyboard player. Controller players, unfortunately, I don't play on the controller, so I couldn't tell you. So. All right, I think this is now the third or fourth time I have beat up this mini base. Like, can you give up the mini base? Oh, and my siege turrets are actually hitting this mini base with me, so it's just a jolly old time. He just has no answer to this because what answer do you have? You have to have everything. You have to have anti-vehicle, anti-air, anti-infantry, and then you also have to realize that I can fly away and just do a whole bunch of crazy nonsense with it. Oh, and there's his army. Decided to want to attack, but I forgot I had siege, I guess. Anyway. And yeah, this is pretty much where the game ends. I mean, what can you do? He's dead. So, GG's everyone! One thing I will note, if you guys do like content like this in the future, make sure that you hit that like and subscribe button. There's going to be an end screen coming up that's going to give you a video that I've made that it'll suggest for you. But yeah, definitely look that up, dudes. And have a wonderful rest of your day. Peace.